I know, Mitch, you talked about liking Kyler Gordon and all the different things that he's capable of doing. Are you seeing some of that with CJ Gardner-Johnson now as well? The versatility that he gives you as
Yeah, look, he's always had a lot of versatility. We played him both at nickel and safety back in New Orleans, and so he does have some versatility to play, a couple of different spots. But obviously where we're at right now, he's playing the nickel position and doing a hell of a job of it.
How did you know? How did you know that he would fit in the locker room so well, so quickly?
Listen, I've been with him, and my experience with him was really positive, and so we felt like it would be a good fit, and he's come in and been exactly what we thought he would be, and been a good addition for us.
Why do you guys connect your personalities so well, do you think?
Say our personalities are different.
There's something there. Like you guys connect so well. Like, what's the secret?
Look, it really just goes back to, I was in New Orleans when we drafted him. We were the first, group that got an opportunity to coach him. He had success with us in the system, and I think there's a trust level, on both sides. I know exactly what we're getting in the player, and I think it's positive, and I think he understands, how we're going to operate and how we do things, and really can appreciate that. So I think really, as with every relationship that anybody's ever in, okay, it starts with building trust, and then from there it goes with communication, and have an open dialogue in terms of what's expected in all different, in all different situations, and I think he trusts that, what we're asking him to do and what we're telling him that, we need to do is the right thing to do. And so I think it's just been, it's been good.
What makes him such a good blitzer, and what's the key to someone his size timing up the blitz the correct?
Yeah, I think it's really just he's a good football player. He understands how to play the game, and that's, when you play the game of football, there's certain rules and certain things that you're supposed to do within each, call on the defense, and yet football players have to make decisions on the football field, and that's an instinctual thing, and I think he does a really good job of that.
What are some of the biggest differences you've seen from the Vikings offense from week 1 now going into this week 11 matchup?
I don't know. I don't know that I've seen just a ton, of difference in terms of what they're doing schematically. Obviously Jordan Addison being back is a big addition for them. Quarterback's got a little bit more experience now than what he had when we first faced him. So, but I don't see a whole lot schematically that's a lot different from what we faced in the first game.
Do you feel like you're a different defense 10 weeks later?
Yeah, and yet I still feel like we're a growing defense. I don't think we really have even scratched the surface of what I think we can be. And so, but I do know, where we were in week 1 to where we are now. I think there's more of a belief in what we're doing and a little bit more confidence in our squad.
We talked about challenges is JJ McCarthy that team.
Look, he's a good quarterback. He was a top 10 pick. I think his ability, to use his feet to create in the passing game, I think is a challenge for us. And I just think, they got so many skill players that make it so difficult to defend. You want to load the box and try to take the run game away, and you got skill position players on the outside that make it a challenge. And then, you want to play them in a light box and, try to devote more resources in the passing game, and now the run game comes alive. So I think and look, I've gone against Kevin O'Connell and his offensive schemes, several times, and it's always been, a big challenge to defend. So I don't expect it to be any different this week.
Coach,
With Justin Jefferson, he, I think it's probably fair to say he's an elite wide receiver. What is the difference between somebody like Justin Jefferson and just say a good wide receiver? Like what do the great ones, and maybe just Justin Jefferson specifically, what does he do so well? Because everybody's fast, everybody's athletic.
Yeah, well, look, I think we talked about making decisions defensively. It's the same thing offensively. You just have a feel for the game. I think he's got a great feel for the game. He does a great job of understanding how to set up his routes to create separation. And I think more so than anything else, this guy is one of the more competitive guys that we'll go against. And I think that's what really makes great players great. And I don't care what position you play, is just that competitive nature. He expects that every ball that's thrown his way, he's going to go make a play.
Coach, small sample size, but what did you like from what you saw from Joe try out training camp?
Yeah, look, I think Joe's smart. I think he came in and kind of picked the system up pretty well. There's still a growing process to go along with that, but I think he's athletic. That's really probably what I like the best is that he's an athlete. So I think he's going to add a little bit something to us in terms of the pass rush. He does understand the game, and he's an instinctive football player.
You've been studying quarterbacks your whole 25 years in the league. What do you think when you see Caleb Williams get out of some of those incredible predicaments that it looks like he's dead to rights, and all of a sudden he finds a way to get out?
Well, am I on the Bears sideline rooting for him, or am I trying to defend him? Because if I'm trying to defend him, I'm like, damn.
No, in your just in your opinion, watching him, like what do you think of him?
Look, I think he's grown tremendously from where he was, in the spring and in training camp, where he's at now. I think you see in the field, much better. And he's always had that athleticism. He's always had that ability to get himself out of trouble. And so, when you see that happen, first thing I'm thinking is I'm glad he's on our side. Because it's a pain when you see guys that can create with their feet. It's just it creates a lot of problems for the defense. In terms of how you want to rush them. If you want to play. Do you want to play man coverage in the back end? Well, okay. If you play man coverage in the back end and he escapes, there's a lot of backs turned to him. You want to rush 4 and play zone coverage behind it. Well, they got 5 and 6 people blocking versus 4, creates escape lanes for the quarterback. So I think the mobile quarterback is a huge challenge defensively.
I know you've dealt with. Go ahead.
Team like Minnesota struggled with false starts and pre-snap penalties. How is it something that you exploit?
Yeah, I don't know that we really go into it, with that type of anticipation. I think we go in and we go play our game, and I think that's more something that they gotta worry about.
I know you've dealt with all your years as a defensive coordinator, dealt with injuries. Nobody has sympathy for the injuries, but you have at least 4 starters down. You talked about you guys are not where you want to be. How hard is it to do what you want to do and get to where you think this defense should be when you have key starters not playing right now?
Yeah, I think that's the nature of the game that we play, and so I think you have to constantly be able to evolve and change. I think you get into trouble when you just say, this is who we are, this is what we do, and we're just going to go do that. Well, that may not be what the guys that we have out there playing, that may not be what suits them the best. And so each and every week, each and every game plan, you're looking at, okay, what do our guys do well, and then how do we put them in those positions based on what we're seeing offensively? How do we put them in positions to have success?
Spoken about, in terms of staying in the pocket like a tick longer to make the play down the field. He's talked about going through his progressions a little bit too quickly. What do you think when he hears that, and how do you keep him from doing that, or why does that happen? I guess?
So sometimes that happens, it can happen for a number of different reasons. One being, your eyes being too quick to process what's happening and kind of moving off those things. But the thing we're always trying to tie together are their feet and their eyes. And so a lot of times, the feet kind of lead the eyes, and that stuff is ingrained throughout the week or all off season as we practice kind of these concepts. Um, your feet keep you on time, and then your eyes are evaluating, hey, is that open? Can I pull the trigger or not? If that's not there, then my feet lead me on to whatever my next read in the progression would be. And so those two things we're trying to tie together all the time. We're constantly working it, and it's something that can always improve.
Kevin O'Connell was saying yesterday that he understands just the way the world is now, everybody wants to judge a young quarterback, not only week to week, but day to day and throw to throw. Yeah. How do you agree with that, number one? And number two, how do you kind of live in that world where people want immediate feedback and that's just kind of not the way it works?
Yeah, I think it's how most of the world works. Is a lot of people want instant gratification for anything that they're doing, and that really just it speaks to any profession, any job, anything worth doing. You have to go through kind of a growth process in order to get to where we want to go. We've taken that really from the very beginning in kind of preaching to Caleb. It's a growth mindset. It's every single day we got to show up and do the work to be able to get better. Obviously these young guys have to deal with a lot of outside noise, and so that can be challenging. But just speaking to Caleb, I think he's done a great job of staying, kind of tunnel vision and understanding that this is a long process, and every day we're just working to get a little bit better.
Is it hard, especially with the younger guys, to say when you're that age, a year seems like forever to sit there and say no, we're building long term. We can try and get better every day, but you still have to kind of set your sights.
Yeah, I think it is something that you're constantly talking through. It's something that you constantly have to monitor, especially just with how much outside noise there is in a positive or a negative way. We go out and play well. They're going to hear a lot of praise that sometimes it's deserving and sometimes it's not. But it really doesn't matter. You have to go do it again, and that's the main thing. Is just making sure that there's constant communication and kind of a vision of you're driving this car, but you don't want to be looking out the window. You want to be looking in the windshield at the road in front of you. Otherwise you're going to end up swerving off and being off track. And so biggest thing is what can we control right now? What's right in front of me that I can go try to be the best in the world at, and then we'll worry about the next thing later.
How much growth have you seen from Luther Burden in practice and in games, and what do you want to see from him the rest of the year?
I've seen a guy that comes to work every day. He's done a really good job of, he does a lot of work behind the scenes with L, just with the offense, trying to ingrain, really the techniques and the fundamentals that we're going to ask him to go out and execute. I've seen a guy that has taken advantage of the times where the ball may find him, and he's gotten better without the ball in his hands as well. And so that's really the area that you like to highlight, and that's the biggest area of growth.
When you're teaching a quarterback to play more quickly, but also not too quick where he gets through his reads too fast, how do you find that sweet spot, and how do you teach it?
Yeah, I think it's a balance of it's play specific, but you're creating habits all the time. And so when we go out and we take a rep, you're further installing into this groove of, okay, I'm reading this concept, it's got to be game like all the time. And so that's really what our main focus is that as we build these habits, they're right. And then when we're a little bit off course or off track, you have to constantly be open to not only like the criticism, but the correction involved in that. And that's the biggest thing. You're always kind of balancing, what do you coach? What do we need to make sure that is getting corrected? And then, that communication process has to happen.
Declan, with I don't know, it's a brain fade. Going against Brian Flores, I know Caleb's only taken 2 sacks, and I think there's always that perception that he's had more pressure, that's going to result in that, but it hasn't with him over his history. Why is that, do you think?
I think Flo is game to game as far as what he's going to show you. They've done a great job of generating pressure just as a defensive front, and so every game is a new one when you're going against him. I think that the first week, we play against them, it's different than what we're going to get this week. We're a different team, they're a different team, and so Caleb's done a good job of getting the ball out of his hands, avoiding sacks and becoming a scrambler when he needs to. Our offensive line has gotten better at some of that stuff, but really, it doesn't carry over to this game. We have to go out and execute at a high level.
How has the jumbo formation and being able to use Ozzie in those packages, how has that helped this offense?
I think it always helps when you have a tackle that you feel good about in that role. You got a guy that you feel good about blocking the C gap and gives the defense another thing to have to deal with. Obviously, less times that guy is a passing threat. However, you can find ways to be balanced offensively, as forcing them to defend different things. Anytime we have a lineman that we feel good about, it's always good to have that as an element of our offense.
Does he have good hands?
Ozzie's got pretty good hands.
Declan, how do you put into context for people that are not on the inside of it and have expertise on it like you do, how Joe Tooney is contributing right now?
Joe Tooney, it starts kind of behind the scenes, what you guys don't see, just how he carries himself every day. And then really the biggest thing is that he's incredibly consistent. Eric Bieniemy, when we were kind of going through the process, talked about him and his relationship with him in Kansas City. He's just said he's gonna bore you to death with how consistent he is on his details. You're not even gonna notice him. And that's the biggest thing. He's done a great job of doing everything that we've asked of him, but the leadership behind the scenes is really the area that he has the biggest impact on our team.
With the run game being as, like, you look at it from the beginning of the season to where it is now and as successful as it is, how much of that is just specific to play design of running out of those condensed formations?
I think it's always both. It can be play-specific designs where we have space. There are certain plays where maybe nothing's there and our back goes and makes a huge play on his own. And so I think it's a little bit of a combination of both. We're doing a better job of understanding what we're being asked to do, fundamentally playing better with pad level and coming off the ball, and really from where we started to where we are now, just the details have been cleaned up a little bit, but again, it doesn't carry over. We have to continue to stay on that and continue to tighten those things up.
Caleb joked the other day that it might have been a sixth sense, when there's somebody coming from his blind side and he just kind of gets out at the last minute. What do you attribute his ability to kind of get out of those situations to? Is that somebody who's played a lot of football, somebody who knows where the pressure's coming?
Yeah.
Or are you kind of just born with it or you're not?
That's an area that he's a lead in as far as feeling the rush and being able to evade, and you can see it all the way back to his college film and things like that. I think some of that can be coached and some of that can be worked, and other elements of that are you have it or you don't, and he certainly does a good job of it.
Declan, what are the challenges with the Vikings up front, particularly with Jonathan Taylor and emergence of Shane President?
Yeah. The biggest challenge with them is they force you to think on every snap. They're a smart defense. They move around a lot. They're in different spots. And so as you prepare for them, they do a good job of utilizing their personnel in a number of different ways and putting those guys in different spots. And so they're not sitting ducks. As an offense, we want to be able to morph and be able to play and dictate in different ways. They certainly do that as a defense. They're able to morph week to week. And so when you're looking at the big picture over a season, it feels like a lot of defense because they're able to morph and kind of change the way they play. And yet when you watch them in game, it's kind of like, hey, they're asking their guys and trying to put them in spots to go have success. And so that's the biggest challenge is their ability to morph, you figuring out, all right, how do we think they're going to play us? And then going and planning and attacking that.
Declan, how do you get like that? Caleb described the end of the game being like, okay, we have no other choice but to try to go out and win the game. How do you carry that kind of urgency, I guess, and have it be more consistent throughout the whole game?
Yeah, that's the challenge that we're constantly dealing with all the time. It's the same urgency we want to have when we go out and practice third down. You're trying to simulate at all times, like it's this or nothing. Like what we're gonna do today directly impacts how Sunday goes. No different than you're at the end of the game, it's crunch time, and we got to go out and score, or we're going to lose this game. So it's something that we're constantly trying to press our guys on, and trying to put them in positions where they have to go out and execute at a really high level that's going to simulate what they're going to experience on Sunday.
When the drops happened last week, how did you see Caleb interact with anybody on the sideline, maybe afterwards, like in just kind of encouraging guys? Because I know that's more of an aberration than a trend.
Yeah. I'm upstairs, so I'm not, with him down there. However, just communicating through the headset to all of our coaches, and it seemed that everybody there was no flinch. We kept believing. We really felt like, hey, we can get this going here. And so I think that he was a great example of that down there on the field, just being able to communicate with our guys and keep them in it.
All right, afternoon.
Afternoon.
All right, how's everyone?
Good. How are you?
Doing fine. Go ahead, shoot.
In what ways have the longer field goals this year and just being able to keep the K-ball change the way you look at the sport? It seems like, people making longer field goals than ever and, the game's evolving.
Yeah, games are definitely evolving. K-ball has been a great thing for the league. Obviously, something we all voted on. Every team had a chance to vote on at the owners' meetings, and it's been a good thing so far. The one thing I say about the K-ball is, sometimes you get it in, sometimes you don't get it in. And in some places, it's worked better for other kickers, depending on what the weather is. And in our place, we got inclement weather conditions. So it's definitely a difference here when it goes to K-balls. In some games, opponents haven't been able to get their K-balls in our games, and that's affected them.
Richard, when you think back to the Cincinnati game and how the unit performed, and then look at New York, what's just been your overall assessment from the change there?
Yeah, I saw a resilient group. They did what I thought that they would do. They would fight back. It's a prideful group. They work their tails off. They know that there's a high standard, and they know they're living up to a high standard, which has been the standard here, and obviously living to a higher standard last year. And every year is a different year, but they know they got to live up to a high standard, and our standard is not going to change. So I was proud from that standpoint that the guys responded in the way that they did. Now, are there things we still need to work on and more impact plays we want to make? We still want to make more plays, so we'll never be satisfied. But they rose to the occasion. Obviously, they weren't going to do that again. So I was proud of them for that.
We've seen Cairo kind of try these knuckle kickoffs, these dirty kicks in warm-ups, but we haven't really seen that implemented in game time. Is there a reason why we haven't seen that implemented, or just trying to get used to it, or what's the rationale there?
Yeah, it's all strategy and gamesmanship at all times, anytime you see it. So it's always going to be that way, and you have seen them in some games. You just have to go back and look at which games those were, but he's kicked them in some games, and there's worked for us in some games. So he could do them at any time, and it's just a matter of when we want to do them. If we'll do anything we think is necessary to win the game.
What did you think of Cairo's kickoff off the pylon?
I loved it. I loved it. I wish he'd do it every time. Yeah, no, it was sweet. Yeah.
What'd you think of their muff punt? Is that just like a fate of special teams gods when that happens to the other team?
Their muff punt? Which one are you talking about?
Maybe it was the week before.
Shank, right?
Shank.
So the shank punt.
Oh, the shank punt that they had. Yeah. No, I'm with you now. I'm with you now. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. No, you're all right. I mean, we're all in here. We're all learning every day. You know what I mean? We're all still learning every day, me included. But yeah, I thought that the unit did a hell of a job putting pressure on that punter early on. Obviously, the weather was a factor in the game for him on kickoffs. Really, you never want to see that happen to any specialist unless you're playing them. Like, you have empathy across the league for some guys, but like when you're playing them, who cares, right? So it was great to see, and that pressure that was put on him early on, I think I know it affected him if you go look at his body language and stuff that he did in the game, and it just so happened on that one we weren't even pressuring him, showing pressure but didn't pressure him, and that was a huge play in the ball game, shanking that punt. and then you give 18 and the boys the ball right there at that time of the game. I mean, that's as good as a big return or as good as a block or tip, or that's as good as anything you're gonna get there. And just really a huge momentum swinger. So happy that the guys executed the plan from the beginning, and it came back to pay dividends for us later. So that was good.
Richard, that came after an offensive touchdown and a defensive stop. How do you describe that momentum swell that you guys had across all three phases down the stretch?
Yeah, I just think we're at a point where we believe in each other. All three phases believe in each other, and anytime someone else makes a play, the other unit just wants to feed off of it. But that was an outstanding sequence of events right there of complementary football, and we just want to do that for 4 quarters more often and not have these games go down to the wire as much. But we're working to get to that point, and we'll keep working on that.
Sorry, this is your last indoor game, I think. Do you like being able to have 7 outdoor games all in, November, December, January? Do you feel like there's an advantage to you guys having the experience in the cold weather and maybe some of the other teams not?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely looking forward to this game. First of all, this the first one. This the only one that matters. Getting our first division win is what we got to do. So looking forward to playing in the indoors. And the second part of your question, of course, like we love it. The outdoor weather, it's bear weather. We embrace it. We love it. So when we get to that stuff, is what we're built for. And we built for what's happening in the fourth quarter right now. We're built for that type of weather, and we're built for adversity. So we want to just keep rising up through all of this stuff and show what our football team's made of.
Richard, Miles Price is one of the better returners, and I know he had a rough game last week. How do you approach somebody who's that inexperienced coming off something that Ravens clearly capitalized on? Do you see opportunity to, I don't know if a player's in that situation, to get a jump on that? How do you view that?
Yeah, I mean, you view it, you watch the tape. I mean, there's good tape. Obviously, outstanding tape with Miles Price, even from preseason. I thought Miles, if you remember, the last time we played these guys, I said that I thought he was going to be a really good returner for years to come. In that, and so far, that's held true with what he's doing. He's a really good player. I mean, he had a touchdown call back already this year. Had a 61-yard kickoff return. He's had several big punt returns. So you just show the guys the tape. You show them the good, and you show them the bad. Here are opportunities that we can capitalize on. Here are things that we got to eliminate. Here's things we need to be aware of. Here are tips or reminders when this happens with this player. All right, we got to have this leverage and go to work from there. But it'd be a good challenge for us. We got a lot of respect for their unit. We got a lot of respect for the player Miles, and then they've acquired a lot of good talent on special teams now. I mean, it's a different unit this year than it was last year. They're doing a really nice job.